We studied the 24 conditions yesterday, and today we will follow the manual. So please turn to page 305. The original manual does not give explanations of each condition in the order given, but it divides the conditions into mind, mind and matter, matter, mind, matter and concept and so on. So in this verse, the application in brief, now we find 6 ways. Mind is a condition for mind. So here, mind to mind in 6 ways. And then in 5 ways, mind is a condition for mind and matter. So mind to mind and matter, 5 ways. Again, mind is a condition in 1 way for matter. So mind to matter, 1 way. And the matter in 1 way for mind. So matter to mind, 1 way. And then in 2 ways, concepts and mind and matter are a condition for mind. So concepts, mind and matter to mind, 2 ways. And then in 9 ways, the diet, mind and matter is a condition for mind and matter. So here, mind and matter to mind and matter. Thus the relations are 6-fold. So there are 6 kinds of relations: mind to mind, mind to mind and matter, mind to matter, and matter to mind, concept, mind and matter to mind, and mind and matter to mind and matter. And then the details are given below. So 6 ways mind is a condition for mind. That means mind to mind relationship in 6 ways. That means conditioning state must be mind, and the conditioned state must also be mind. So mind to mind in 6 ways. Now the first is consciousness and mental factors that immediately cease are a condition for present consciousness and mental factors by way of proximity, contiguity, absence and disappearance. Now this I explained to you with the diagram. So in the diagram 1, the previous chitta is a condition for the following chitta. Actually not the chitta, but the disappearance of the chitta. So when there is proximity relation, there are also contiguity, absence and disappearance. So these 4 are always obtained together. Preceding jhavanas are a condition for subsequent jhavanas by way of repetition. Jhavanas means wholesome, unwholesome, functional or kiriya, and also the fruition consciousness. So here, preceding jhavanas are a condition for subsequent jhavanas. So there are 7 jhavanas in a thought process. So the first jhavana is a repetition condition for the second jhavana. Second is a condition for third jhavana, third for fourth, fourth for fifth, fifth for sixth, and sixth for seventh jhavana. Now here, although it does not say about proximity and others, they are also obtained. So the first jhavana to second jhavana, there are proximity, contiguity, absence and disappearance plus repetition. And cognizant consciousness and mental factors are a condition for one another by way of association. So cognizant means arising together and existing together. So consciousness and mental factors that arise together. are a condition for one another. Consciousness is conditioned for mental factors, and mental factors are conditioned for the consciousness. They are, here, by way of association. By way of association means they must arise together, they must disappear together, they must have the same object, and they must have the same base. So consciousness is a condition for a mental factor by way of association, and mental factors are the condition for consciousness by way of association. Now, with regard to repetition condition, on page 306, the bottom paragraph, although the four supramundane pathchetas are wholesome jhavanas, they do not become the conditioning states of repetition condition because they are followed by fruition chetas. So repetition condition can be obtained only between wholesome and wholesome, unwholesome and unwholesome, and functional and functional. It cannot be attained between wholesome and fruition and so on. So the four supramundane pathchetas are always followed by 2 or 3 moments of fruition. Although fruition consciousness follow the path consciousness, fruition consciousness are not the conditioned states of the path consciousness by way of repetition, because they are not the repetition of the path consciousness. So path consciousness disappears and then fruition consciousness follows. So there can be only proximity, contiguity, absence and disappearance, but not repetition. And though fruition chetas can occur in succession in a jhana process, so fruition chetas can arise in succession, two fruition chetas, 3 fruition chetas, and in the samapatti, in the attainment of fruition thought process, there can be millions of moments of fruition consciousness, but they are resultants. Because they are resultants, they do not meet the full definition of the conditioning states in repetition condition. So although they repeat many times, since they are resultants, they are not wholesome, they are not unwholesome. Since they are resultants, they do not meet the full definition of the conditioning states in repetition condition, and so there is no repetition condition between path consciousness and fruition consciousness. And this repetition condition is explained with a simile, that is, just as a student by repeated study becomes more proficient in his lessons. So when you repeat, you gain momentum, and so the repetition helps you to understand more. And the books learned before have the influence on what is learned later. And so there is like a repetition condition between learning before and learning after. In the commentary and also in the sub-commentary, for some conditions these similes are given. So here the simile is the formal learning is a condition of repetition for the later learning. And association condition, as I said before, it is characterized by its members having a common arising and cessation, the same arising, the same cessation, and then a common object, that means they must take the same object, and a common physical base, they must have the same base. So when they have the same base and also the other three, then they are said to be associated. So the association condition can be obtained only between mental states and not between material states, because material states have material states do not possess these four conditions as a common arising and cessation and so on. This is mind to mind in 6 ways. In 6 ways means proximity, contiguity, absence, disappearance, repetition, and association. Now we come to mind, form, mind and matter. So that means mind to mind and matter relation. In 5 ways, mind is a condition for mind and matter. Roots, jhana factors and path factors are a condition for cognizant mind and matter by way of root, etc. That means by way of root, by way of jhana, and by way of path. Now for this, please look at the handout with the title for section 14, chapter 8, Comprehensive Manual of Abhidhamma, for page 307. Now the first one is hetu, root condition. Now let us take the first lobha mula ceta. That is the first ceta among the 12 unwholesome cetas. So that ceta arises with 19 cetasikas and also arises with rupa born of citta or rupa produced by citta. That means this lobha mula citta produces the material properties that are caused by mind or consciousness. So at the moment the first lobha mula citta arises, there arise also the 19 cetasikas and then material properties caused by consciousness. Now among them, if we take lobha as conditioning state, then the others are conditioned states. So in the first lobha mula citta, we take lobha as conditioning, and the first lobha mula citta plus 18 cetasikas, that is 19 minus lobha, and rupa born of citta as conditioned states. So lobha is the root condition for the first lobha mula citta and so on. And the first lobha mula citta is accompanied by moha also. So moha is one of the hetus or roots. So if we take moha as the conditioning state, then the others are called conditioned state. So here moha is related to first lobha mula citta, 18 cetasikas and rupa born of citta by way of root condition. If we take the first kama vajra kusala citta, there are 32 cetasikas arising with first kama vajra kusala citta. In all, there are 38 cetasikas, but some are not fixed ones. Fixed ones means they do not arise whenever the first kama vajra kusala citta arises. So we leave them out and we take 33 cetasikas here. And then there is the cittaja rupa or rupa born of citta. So in this group, among the 33 cetasikas, there are alobha, adosa, and amoha. So if we take alobha as root condition, then the rest are the conditioned states. So if we take alobha as conditioning state, the others are conditioned states. And if we take adosa as conditioning state, then the rest are conditioned state. And if we take amoha, the same. And if we take first Kama Vajra Vipaka Citta, then there are 33 Chaitasikas arising with it, and then Kamaja Rupa, that means Rupa born of Kama, Rupa caused by or produced by Kama, at Paṭṭhāna. Paṭṭhāna means rebirth or relinking. So at the moment of relinking, or at the moment of conception, there arise first Kama Vajra Vipaka Citta. Let us see here, first Kama Vajra Vipaka Citta, and then 33 Chaitasikas and material properties caused by Kama. There also, among the 33 Chaitasikas, there are Alobha, Adosa and Amoha. So if we take Alobha as a conditioning state, then the rest are conditioned state. If we take Adosa, Amoha, the same. We can take other types of consciousness also, if you want to, and then find out how many Chaitasikas are there, and also among the Chaitasikas how many roots are there, and then take those roots one by one as conditioning state, and then the rest as conditioned states. So they are related by way of root condition. The root condition is explained here on page 307. The root condition is a condition where a conditioning state functions like a root by imparting firmness and fixity to the conditioned states. So a conditioning state is like a root. Just as a root is to the tree, the conditioning state is to the conditioned states. The root helps the tree to become firm, to become fixed, to grow. So in the same way, these conditioning states, that means 6 hetus or 6 roots, impart firmness and fixity to the associated states. Now, just as the roots of a tree are the basis for a tree's existence, growth and stability, so these roots give rise to the conditioned states and make them firm and steady. So this is the meaning of the root condition. So root condition is compared to roots of a tree. And the next is jhana condition. Now there are 5 jhana factors, and they are Vitakka, Vichara, Piti, Vedana and Ekaggata. And these jhana factors arise with other types of consciousness also. These arise not only with jhana chaitas, but also with other chaitas like Kama Vajra chaitas. And so, to explain the jhana condition, we take again first Lobha Mula Citta. And there are 19 Chaitasikas going along with it, and then Cittaja Rupa, Rupa born of Citta. So among the 19 Chaitasikas, there are Vitakka, Vichara, Piti, and Vedana Yasomanasa, and Ekaggata. So we take Vitakka as conditioning state, then the others are conditioned states and so on. Although they are not technical jhanas, still they are called jhana factors. You learn the jhana factors in the 7th chapter. So take one of them as conditioning state and take the others, the remaining, as conditioned state. And so we can explain this relation as jhana by taking any one of the jhana factors. And then first Kama Vajra Vipaka Citta. Even in Vipaka Cittas there are Vitakka and so on. So if we take the first Kama Vajra Vipaka Citta, then there are 33 Chaitasikas going along with it, and then Kamaja Rupa at Paṭṭhāna. Again, at the moment of relinking at the moment of conception the material properties caused by karma arise. Among the 33 Chaitasikas, there are Vitakka, Vichara and so on. And so when we take Vitakka as a conditioning state, then the remaining first Kama, Vajra, Vibhaka, Citta and so on are conditioned states. Similarly with Vichara, Piti, Vedana and Ekaggata. So first we find out which Chaitas arise with which Chaitasikas, and then find out whether there are Vitakka, Vichara and so on among the Chaitasikas. When there are Vitakka and Vichara and so on among the Chaitasikas, then we know that the relationship here can be jhana condition. There may be other conditions as well. Now, jhana condition is a condition where a conditioning state causes the conditioned states to participate in the close contemplation of an object. So, the meaning of the word jhana means close contemplation, contemplating the object closely or intensely. So, this condition is a condition where a conditioning state causes the conditioned states to participate in the close contemplation of an object. Suppose Vitakka. Now, Vitakka accompanies the first Lobha Mula Citta. Now, Vitakka itself contemplates on the object closely, and also it helps or it supports other mental factors to contemplate on the object closely. So, Vitakka is called the jhana condition here and so on. And then about 3 lines down. Although the cognizant material phenomena cannot contemplate the object themselves. Now, we see that there are rupas or material properties involved here. With the first Lobha Mula Citta, there are material properties born of Citta or consciousness. And with the first Kama, Vajra, Vibhaka Citta, there are material properties born of karma. So although the cognizant material phenomena, although these material properties born of consciousness and karma cannot contemplate the objects themselves because they are material properties, and so they do not have cognitive power, and so they cannot contemplate on the object themselves. Because they are produced by the close contemplation accomplished by the jhana factors, they are included among the conditioned states. So here the conditioning state cannot make the conditioned state, that is here the material properties, to contemplate closely, because material properties cannot contemplate. But they are produced by the close contemplation accomplished by the jhana factors. So they are included among the conditioned states. Now next is path condition. Path means a road or a way. So path condition is a condition where a conditioning state relates to the conditioned states by causing them to function as a means for reaching a particular destination. Now a road is a means to reach some place. So like the road, these factors are a means to reach some particular destination. That means rebirth in woeful states, rebirth in blissful states, and also enlightenment. And as you remember, or I hope you remember, there are 12 factors of path. The 8 factors of path are very familiar to us, but also there are 4 others that are not wholesome or indeterminate, but that are unwholesome. So there are 12 path factors. The 4 wrong path factors are the means for reaching the woeful destinations. So they are called path or path factors because they are means for reaching the 4 woeful destinations. And the 8 path factors are the means for reaching the blissful destinations and nibbana. So they are called path. Now we take first Lobha Mula Citta again as example here. So with it, 19 Cetasikas and material properties born of consciousness. And among the 19, there are Vitakka, Viriya, Ekagata and Ditthi. Now you remember that Vitakka is one of the 8 path factors, Viriya also another one, Ekagata also another one, and Ditthi, wrong view, also another one. So when we take Vitakka as the conditioning state, then the others, first Lobha Mula Citta plus 18 Cetasikas, that is 19 minus Vitakka itself, and Rupa born of Citta, they are conditioned states, and their relationship is by way of Magga condition. We can take Viriya as the conditioning state, then the others, the remaining, are conditioned states, and so on. And the same with Ekagata and with Ditthi or wrong view. And we can take Kama Vajara Vipaka Citta as example, and it is accompanied by 33 Cetasikas, and at the same time there arise material properties born of Kama, that is at Patisandhi, at relinking, at conception. So at the moment of conception, especially for those who have 5 aggregates, one Vipaka Citta arises with its Cetasikas, and also the Rupa born of Kama. So here, with the first Kama Vajara Vipaka Citta, there are Panya or knowledge, and Vitakka, Viriya, Sati and Ekagata. And Panya is one of the factors of path. What is the name of Panya in the factors of path? Right understanding. So there is right understanding. If we take right understanding, the Cetasika Panya as conditioning state, then the remaining are conditioned states. That is at the moment of conception. Similarly with Vitakka. So when we take Vitakka as conditioning state, then the remaining are the conditioned states, and so on. Now, while the path factors in the resultant and functional cettas do not lead to any destinations. Now there may be a question. You said that the path condition is a means for reaching a particular destination, but the path factors in the resultant cettas and functional cettas do not lead to any destinations, because resultant cettas are resultant. They are themselves results of the karma in the past, and so they do not lead to any destination. And functional cettas are those that arise in the Buddhas and Arahants. Since they have no productive power, since they do not constitute karma, they do not lead to any destination. So, while the path factors in the resultant and functional cettas do not lead to any destinations, they are still classed as path factors. They are still called path factors because, considered abstractly in their own nature, they are identical with those capable of leading to different destinations. They are the same as those that lead to different destinations because they are identical with those that are called path factors. They are also called path factors. And then cognizant volition is a condition for cognizant mind and matter. and a synchronous volition for mind and matter born of karma, by way of karma. So this describes the condition called karma condition. There are two kinds of karma condition. The first one is co-nascent, sahajada, co-nascent karma condition, and the other is called a synchronous karma condition. So let us call same moment karma and different moment karma. So same moment karma, sahajada karma, co-nascent karma is a conditioning factor for some resultant consciousness. But the same moment karma condition is for all chetas, not just resultant chetas. So we can pick any cheta as an example here. So we have first lobha mula cheta here. So first lobha mula cheta, and there are 19 chetasikas going along with it, and then again rupas born of cheta. There chetana. Among the 19 chetasikas, there is the cetasika chetana, volition. So we take that volition as karma condition. So when we take chetana as karma condition, the others are the conditioned states of karma condition. But here, the conditioning state and conditioned states are not cause and effect. Here, conditioning state does not produce the conditioned states because they arise together at the same moment. So that is why it is called sahajada karma, co-nascent karma. So here it is not the producing way of relationship, it is just supporting or assisting. We take karma vajra vipaka cheta as the example of sahajada karma or co-nascent karma. That consciousness is accompanied by 33 chetasikas and then rupa born of karma, that is at patisandhi or at relinking. So there, among the 33 chetasikas, there is chetana again. So we take chetana as the co-nascent karma condition. When we take it as a co-nascent karma as conditioning state, then the others, the remaining, are the conditioned states. So they are related by way of co-nascent karma. So that means they arise at the same time, but chetana assists them to arise and to be present or to stay on. Now there is another karma called in Pali nanakhanika karma. Nana means different and khana means moment. So karma having a different moment. So here karma and its results belong to different moments, different times. So they are not sahajada, they are not co-nascent. So here we have many examples. Chetana in pas lobha mula cheta. If we take that as the conditioning state, then the others are conditioned states. Piti means patisandhi. That means at the moment of conception. So at the moment of conception, what arises as a result of lobha mula chitta? In order to know this, you have to go back to the 5th chapter. 5th chapter on karma. So according to the teaching in the 5th chapter, the lobha mula chitta produces akusala vipaka upikha sahagata santirana as result. So that consciousness is the rebirth consciousness. So with that rebirth consciousness, there are 10 chetasikas and rupa born of karma. So chetana in the past lobha mula chitta is the conditioning state, and the akusala vipaka upekha santirana and so on in this life are the conditioned states. So here, the Cetana is the karma, and akusala, vipaka, upekkha, santirana, and so on are the results of karma. And they belong to different moments or different times. Now, past lobha mula ceta means lobha mula ceta in the past life. And that cetana, concomitant with lobha mula ceta in the past life, produces the rebirth consciousness here in this life. So they belong to different times and different moments. And so in Pali, the cetana is called nanakhanika karma. And then PV. Now PV means during life. It is a short form for Pavati in Pali. So during life, 7 akusala vipaka cetas and cetisikas, and undesirable rupa born of karma. So they are the result of cetana in past lobha mula ceta. So when karma gives results, it gives results at 2 moments or 2 periods. It gives results at the very first moment in the next life, that is relinking. And also it gives results after that, during life. Now, cetana concomitant with lobha mula ceta in the past gives the rebirth consciousness in this life as result. And also it can give results during life as akusala vipaka cetas and so on. Now, suppose a person has lobha mula ceta in the past, and that ceta is accompanied by cetana. So as a result of that cetana, he is reborn in the next life, having akusala vipaka upekkha santirana. That means in one of the woeful states. During life also, he may encounter undesirable rupa born of karma. So, undesirable rupas born of karma is also the result of the past cetana in the past lobha mula ceta. So, karma gives 2 kinds of results. Result at the moment of relinking and result during life. Now during life, we encounter many things that we don't like. We see things that we don't want to see, or undesirable things, and we hear sounds that we don't want to hear, and so on. So when we see something that we don't like, or when we see something that is undesirable, then the seeing consciousness is said to be the result of akusala, unwholesome karma in the past. That result of unwholesome karma in the past is experienced during life, not at the moment of conception. So at the moment of conception, the result of past karma is the rebirth consciousness, and then the cetasikas going along with it, and the material properties caused by karma. So what we call rebirth is just these 3 things together: a resultant consciousness, and cetasikas going along with it, and material properties or matter caused by or born of karma. So these 3 we call rebirth or birth. That is for beings like human beings. If it is for mindless beings, there will be only rupa, and if it is for beings without physical bodies, then there will be no rupa. There will only be the citta and cetasika as the result of the cetana in the past. So cetana or karma here belongs to a different time than its results, and so it is called nanakhanika. And we can take another example, cetana in first, second, fifth, sixth kama vajra kusala cetas, and then the result of that cetana are at patisandhi or at relinking 8 kama vajra vibhaga cetas. Actually, one of the 8 kama vajra vibhaga cetas, cetasikas and kammaja rupa born of karma. And during life, they can be 8 kama vajra vibhaga cetas plus cetasikas, 8 kusala vibhaga cetas from among rootless cetas and cetasikas and desirable kammaja rupa. Now this is a little difficult and involved because it reflects the teaching in the 5th chapter. So we are following the teaching in the 5th chapter, and so we select the 1st, 2nd, 5th and 6th kamavaja kusala cetas here as an example. And it is okata, means the best or superior. Now when a person acquires a karma, or when a person performs a karma, that karma, especially kusala, wholesome karma, that karma can be with 3 roots or with 2 roots, and also that karma can be of superior standard or inferior standard. So they are divided into superior and inferior, and also they are divided into accompanied by 3 roots and 2 roots. For example, when you do a meritorious deed, you do it with full understanding of the law of karma. Then your merit or the wholesome cetas that arises at that moment will be accompanied by 3 roots. If you do it carelessly, if you do not think of the law of karma and you just do the act of dana, then your wholesome ceta or your kusala ceta will be accompanied by only 2 roots. Now 3 roots means alobha, adosa and amoha, and 2 roots means alobha and adosa. And if that act of kusala is preceded by and followed by kusala, that is called superior. If that act is not preceded by and followed by kusala, it is called inferior. Sometimes you do some meritorious deed and then later on you regret for it. It may be very, very rare, but it can happen. You donate something to somebody and then later on you know that somebody was not a real monk or something like that, and then you regret for it. Sometimes because people have not, they are not sincere when they make offerings, and later they may regret, oh, if I use this for myself or for the members of my family, it will be very good, something like that. So if you have such thoughts after the act of merit in connection with that merit, then that merit is called inferior merit. Since it is inferior, when it gives results, it gives inferior results. So whenever you do a merit, you must do it so that it is accompanied by 3 roots and at the same time preceded and followed by kusala. So that is very important. These are B, C, D, E. They are according to the teachings given in the 5th chapter. Now, please go to G. Then Cetana with fifth Rupa Vajra Kusala Ceta for Asanyasata. And that means for mindless being. At Paṭṭhāna as well as during life, there is only Rupa born of karma, because they have no mind. So for them, the Rupa born of karma is the conditioned state, and Cetana concomitant with fifth Rupa Vajra Kusala Ceta is a conditioning state. And then H, Arupa Vajra Kusala Ceta. Cetana concomitant with Arupa Vajra Kusala Ceta. Both at relinking and during life, there arise first Arupa Vajra Vipaka Ceta and 30 Cetasikas. So no Rupas there. So for that, the Cetana in first Arupa Vajra Kusala Ceta is a conditioning state, and first Arupa Vajra Vipaka Ceta and 30 Cetasikas are the conditioned states. Now let us take Magga Ceta as example. So Cetana concomitant with first Magga Ceta, that means Sotapatti Magga Ceta, is a cause, and its fruit is first Phala Ceta and 36 Cetasikas. So here, first Phala Ceta and 36 Cetasikas are conditioned states, and Cetana in Magga Ceta is a conditioning state. So they are related as karma and its results. So just note that there are two kinds of karma. The same time karma and different time karma. The same time karma does not produce, but it supports or it assists its concomitant states. And different time karma produces results as relinking and also during lifetime. Good karma will produce good results, and bad karma will produce bad results. So even between Magga Ceta and Phala Ceta, there is this condition. There is this condition of karma and its result. Now, here, the result is produced immediately after the cause, because in the thought process of enlightenment, the sequence of thoughts go like this: 4 moments of Vipassana consciousness, and then path consciousness, and this path consciousness is immediately followed by fruition or phala consciousness 2 times or 3 times. So here the result is produced immediately. There is no time gap between the cause and the result, and it is the only instance where the results are produced immediately after the cessation of the cause. You may be familiar with the formula Swakhato Bhagavata Dhammo. So there is the word akaliko. So akaliko means what? It is difficult to translate that word, akalika. No time. So no time means no waiting time for giving results. So that means it gives immediate results. So we should not translate it as timeless. Sometimes people translate it as timeless, thinking the Dhamma is always there in the past or in the present or in the future. But the word akalika does not mean that Dhamma is timeless or Dhamma is forever. But it means that the Dhamma, especially the Magga Ceta, produces its results immediately. So we understand that the meaning of akalika when we understand Abhidhamma. And then next one is the mental resultant aggregates are a condition for one another and for coordination matter by way of result. Now, result condition. I think that's all for the handouts. Yeah. So we come to now result condition. Result condition is a condition where a conditioning state makes the conditioned state that arise together with it be as passive, effortless, and quiescent as itself. Now, results are those that are caused by the cause, right? So, because they are results, they are passive. There is no activity in them, so they are called effortless. First, the result is passive, it is inactivity, and it is effortless, it is quiescent, and that result makes the other states concomitant with it to be passive and so on. So that is what is called result condition. So result condition is not producing result. Now, one of the karma condition is producing result, but result condition is not producing but imparting its passive, effortless, and inactive nature to the states that arise together with it. So that is called a result condition. Since it is a result condition, it can be obtained only in the resultant consciousness. So the resulting conditions in this relation are the resultant cetas and cetasikas. The conditioned states are those same resultants with respect to each other and the cognizant material phenomena. Since resultants are produced from the maturing of karma, they are not active but passive and quiescent. Thus, in the mind of a person in deep sleep, the resultant bhavanga consciousness arises and passes away in constant succession. So when you are asleep, the bhavanga moments arise and disappear in rapid succession for millions and millions of times. Yet during this time, no efforts are made for action by body, speech, or mind. Because you are asleep, you don't do anything by body or by speech or by mind, and there is not even distinct awareness of an object. So when you are asleep, your mind has an object. Your mind is not without an object, but that object is not a vivid object. It is indistinct or obscure object. And that object is called karma or karma nimitta or gati nimitta. Similarly, in the five-door cognitive process, the resultant cetas do not make an exertion to know their object. So they are just something that are produced, and so they do not make any exertion to know the object. It is only in the jhana phase that effort is made to clearly cognize the object, and again it is only in the jhana phase that actions are performed. Now, in a thought process, if you remember, there are types of consciousness preceding the jhanas: seeing, receiving, investigating, determining. Now, determining is a functional consciousness, and seeing, receiving, and investigating consciousnesses are resultant consciousness. So during those moments, there is no action whatsoever. They are just the result of the past karma, and they arise there. But when we come to the jhana moments, the mind becomes active, and so it is at the moments of jhana that the object is fully experienced. So it is at the moment of jhanas that actions are performed or karma is acquired. So that is why karma is cetana accompanying the unwholesome and wholesome types of consciousness. Cetana accompanying the resultant consciousness and also functional consciousness is not called karma, because it does not reach the stage of karma with these types of consciousness. Only with wholesome consciousnesses and unwholesome consciousnesses does it reach the stage of karma. So when we say karma, we mean cetana accompanying the wholesome and unwholesome types of consciousness. That is why in the Paṭṭhāna, in the link between avijja and sankhara, sankhara are said to be just kusala and akusala cetana. Okay, this is the mind for mind and matter. So in this group, the conditioning state is just mind. That means Ceta and Cetasika. And conditioned states are mind plus matter. So this is a relationship between mind on the one hand and mind and matter on the other. And there are 5 ways of relationship between mind and matter, and they are root, jhana, path, karma, and result. Okay, we'll have a break.